We'll call the February 16th Warren County Bowling Green Planning Commission into order. McKenna, if you would call the roll, please.
Commissioner Gay?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Starks?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Vitale? Yes, Commissioner Volkert? And Chair Warren?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioners, you have the minutes of our February the 2nd in our minutes in your packets. Are there any questions? If none, would call for a motion, please.
Move.
Second. Commissioner Starks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vitale? Yes, Commissioner Volkert? Yes, Commissioner Gay?
Ma'am.
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes, ma'am.
Chair Warren?
Yes, ma'am. Commission, one more, Ham. Or you call, we're now entering into our public hearing. Mr. Moore.
Mr. Warren, I request that you order that the record include tonight all statutory and regulatory provisions, the Commission's entire file for each application, and the qualifications for each staff witness. Finally, I request that you administer the oath to those witnesses.
You all swear to tell the truth? Thank you very much. Commissioners, you have the subdivision and site development plans in your packet. Are there any questions? Hearing none. Ben, we have no old business. We enter into our public hearing tonight. Our first item is 2023-01 DP Service One Credit Union, care of Greg Seaton, has filed an application to amend the general development plan conditions on a tract of land containing approximately 1.8 acres located at the corner of 0 and 103 State Street with the general development plan. This property is zoned CB, Central Business, and Light Industrial. Jenny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we had a pre-application meeting for the property outlined in yellow in July of last year. To reiterate the request, the applicants are proposing to amend the development plan for 1.8 acres located at the corner of State Street and East Riverview Drive. The main purpose of the application is to amend the restrictions on access to the site. These changes have been approved by the local transportation agencies. The current zoning of the property is central business. The current land use is vacant, and the future land use designation is mixed-use residential. They have provided a site plan for your all's review. So looking down to the development history in the middle of page 1, I just would like to point out that the original zoning of the property is light industrial, and that in 2013 a rezoning request from LI and HI, which is heavy industrial, to CB central business was approved by the Planning Commission. And then looking down to the points to consider, the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process, remains consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan, and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. That is all that staff have, but we're happy to answer any of your all's questions.
Thank you very much, Jenny. Commissioners, any questions for staff? All right. Is the applicant here, would like to add anything to that, please? Yes, ma'am. If you state your name and address, please.
Julie Shadowan, 2157 Small House Road.
Julie, you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I am here on behalf of the applicant, Service One. Mr. Seaton is here, and we also have a representative of ACES Engineering here as well if the commission has any questions.
Thank you very much, Julie. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or an opposition to this request? Hearing none, commissioners would call for a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the proposed general development plan amendment, docket number 2023-1DP, based upon the testimony, documents presented in the public hearing. The proposed general development plan amendment is consistent with adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objective and action items presented in the staff report. Further, I also find that there have been major changes in economic, physical, and social nature within the area of the property in question, and I request the findings of fact and recommendation include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second. Commissioner Gay?
Ma'am.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Starks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vitale? Yes, Commissioner Volkert? And Chair Warren?
Yes, ma'am. Planning and Zoning Commission final action, so there's nothing else needed. Our next item tonight is 2023-04 County, Clint Wiles and Evan Noel, and NC Brands LLC, and Clint and Brenda Wiles property owners have filed an application to rezone tracts of land containing approximately 9/10 of an acre located at 997 and 9990 Alvaton Road from RE Residential Estate to general business with a general development plan. Ms. Hurt?
Thank you, Chair Warren. We had a pre-application meeting back in December for the properties you just referenced located on Alvaton Road. The current zoning of the property is RE. The current use is single family. And the future land use designation for the properties is rural village. The applicants have requested a rezoning application from RE to general business in order to develop the properties with 2 commercial buildings. There's a site plan shown on the screen for your reference. And in reviewing this application, we have listed a few points for your consideration at the bottom of page 1. The first of which being that the Scottsville Road corridor study recommends a lower square footage cap for freestanding signage, and that the applicants are proposing freestanding signage up to 25 feet in height with a maximum sign face area of 120 square feet. This is only 5 feet shorter and 30 square feet less than permitted by the zoning ordinance. The second point for your consideration is that the Scottsville Road corridor study recommends that buildings face Scottsville Road or be designed in a way to appear to face Scottsville Road. And the applicants instead have proposed an alternate screening requirement as a part of their application in the event of a non-front facing facade. The third point to consider is that the applicants have committed to a minimum of 25% open space. However, the concept plan depicts a greater area of open space. Below that, you'll see that the applicants are proposing a maximum of 3 access points to Alvaton Road in their development plan conditions. However, there are only 2 access points shown on the concept. And there's one more point on page 2 at the top, and that is that the Scottsville Road corridor study discourages parking in the front building setback and suggests that parking be located to the side or rear of the buildings. And as you can see, the submitted concept depicts all of the parking in front of the proposed structures. And then with that, I will also mention that there's a compliance summary of the comprehensive plan items that were reviewed by the staff, and that's listed on page 8. That is there for your reference. But with that, I think we're trying this shortened staff report format here. It feels kind of strange being done that fast, but I think that's everything we have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Hurt. Commissioners, you see this new concept, the points to consider. Are there any questions for the staff?
I have a question. Rachel,
Sir.
did they indicate where the third access would be?
No, sir. That was one of our comments when we provided our correspondence, that there were 3 accounted for in the development plan conditions, but this site plan that they submitted only has 2. They may be able to speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
So, Rachel,
Christian, pull your mic down a little bit, please.
so if I'm understanding point number 1, you guys feel the sign should be smaller and shorter than what they're proposing?
Well, we had just suggested that they consider a lower square footage. The recommendation is actually not in reference to the height, it's the square footage only.
Footage, okay.
But just, let me go to the sign section in the, let's see. I think when we had looked at this area, there's not a lot of freestanding signage that exists currently,
Okay.
and much of it now that's there is not 120 square feet.
Okay.
On page 3, middle of the page, signage.
So, Rachel, would you refresh our memory on, point number 1 says that, that it doesn't meet the Scottsville Road corridor requirement, but is permitted by the zoning ordinance. So could you contrast the zoning ordinance with the Scottsville Road corridor?
Sure. So the proposed zone that they're requesting is general business, and in that zone, you can have freestanding signage per the ordinance up to 30 feet tall with a maximum sign face area of 150 square feet. The Scottsville Road corridor study doesn't set a square footage, it just recommends a lower square footage cap, and then given the location of the proposal, since the Scottsville Road corridor study spans such a large area, square footage in one location at a higher sign face area may be compatible than when we look in other locations, just given the existing signage that may be present in a particular area.
So in your points to consider, are all of the elements that you describe here a result of the corridor study with, well, I guess they all are, with the exception of the open space and the access points. Is that accurate?
I believe there may actually be a recommendation for open space.
It says they've got
Let's see.
25, they commit to 25%, but they actually have more than 25%.
Right, there's more shown on the plan. I think, yeah, so there is a recommendation on open space from the Scottsville Road study, and that's at the top of page 5. I believe the access, that actually comes from the comp plan. That'd be in the transportation section, TR 2.1 and LU 2.3.1 from the future land use section.
Okay, so would I be accurate in assuming that most of these conflicts are in the Scottsville Road corridor, not the zoning ordinance? And are we supposed to weigh those as a recommendation, or are we supposed to enforce that stringently?
So they're just recommendations, and so you all may place a different weight on each of those items. You know, some of you may value open space more than the location of parking, and others may think that the location of parking is more important than
Would you venture a
open
guess
space.
as to how closely we have enforced that corridor study in the past?
Well, the property, if we go back to the aerial view, the property just to the north here might look familiar because it was rezoned recently. I do have their development plan conditions. And as far as at least the parking, the location of parking, I think, let me go back to my notes here. There was a, let's see. Try to find it here. There was something about, oh, I may actually be thinking about the building orientation. The property, the development plan conditions for the property to the north, those development plan conditions require that all new structures will have a front facade that faces the roadway. Whereas this application has a requirement to either do that or in lieu of that impose a screening requirement. And that is not necessarily in complete agreement with the recommendation from the study.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Commissioners, any other questions for staff? All right, thank you very much, Rachel. Is the applicant or their representative here? And if you would come to the microphone, please, sir. If you would state your name and address, please, sir.
Jay Culbertson, 253 Jenny Lane, Scottsville.
Swear to tell the truth, sir?
I do.
Thank you.
Just to maybe provide a little clarity on the exception for the signage was, we also own 9940, which is adjacent to 9970, part of this, and that would just keep the signage consistent with what we had approved on that property a few months ago.
Are you talking about the property that Ms. Hurt referred
Yes,
to as
yes.
the northern edge? Is
Correct.
that right?
And right. And that all that would do is make the signage uniform with what we got approved on that property.
Rachel, that sign, the other sign is the same size they're proposing.
It does, but I thought with that application that your justification for that was because the land kind of sloped
Sits
down
low,
and was further
correct.
off the road.
But as far as the-
Whereas, and that would actually have visibility from Scottsville Road, whereas this property is on Alvaton Road.
And it's on higher ground.
Is not directly fronting on Scottsville Road, where typically we may have larger signs.
Correct.
Would you be willing to go down in size on the sign?
I would like to refer to Clint, who is a part of this as well, actually a larger part of that, so.
Before you refer to him, let's ask if there's any more questions.
And then the other thing is, it looks like, from what staff is saying, you're wanting the parking up front instead of behind the building. Is that correct, Rachel?
Yeah, the site plan that's up here shows all of the parking in front of the buildings.
Where the corridor would rather have the parking in the rear of the building, correct?
Yeah, I'm trying to find, I feel like the conditions for the adjacent property, I'm skimming through these, and let's see.
So are you
Okay,
looking for the?
so the conditions for the adjacent property, they had only complied with part of the recommendation where parking be located outside of the front building setback. So there's not a requirement on the adjacent property for the parking to be to the side or the rear, even though that is the recommendation.
So that's something that we allowed and approved.
Correct.
Okay.
So it was a recommendation on the previous
we did
one,
not
but we
do it.
permitted it, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, all right, very good.
I think there may actually be a typo in Development Plan Condition 5, because it says that there shall be no parking allowed in the setback along Scottsville Road, but these properties front on Alvaton Road. So I think that might be a correction to those if that's okay with you all.
Yeah, again, I would kind of defer to
And then
Clint
the
on
other
that.
thing, Rachel, is the orientation of the building. Is they're not wanting to do as the corridor, and so they're obviously wanting to put some kind of screening up.
So their development plan conditions say that structures on the property will have a front facade that faces Alvaton Road or shall be screened with landscaping consisting of 6 evergreen trees and 3 deciduous trees per 100 linear feet.
But
And
the
we were
cor-
just pointing out the difference with the adjacent property to the north. They just committed to a requirement that new structures would face Alvaton Road and Scottsville Road, instead of having an alternate option to do the screening. So we were just pointing out the differences there.
Sorry, one last question regarding that parking. In the property next door, does it have landscape screening in the front or just parking up front?
Property next door, if you look at your aerial map, the structure that's on that property now is a residential structure and had been used for office space. I think the site plan that was reviewed for that property actually had the parking behind the structure.
See, okay.
As far as what was depicted at that time. But of course, if the property redevelops based on the development plan conditions, there would be no requirement that it be in that same location.
Thank
So
you.
I guess the other question would be is, are you guys okay if we make the orientation to Alvaton and Scottsville Road with no alternative?
I think part of the recommendation also gives the option, I'm trying to find it, that even if the building doesn't necessarily have access, like a front door, that there's also an option to just design the building so that it still faces the road, even though functionally speaking, the entrance may be on the side or rear side of the building. Yes, it's recommendation 1 at the bottom of page 3.
Okay.
Are you going to speak? You're Mr. Wiles, correct?
Sir.
Would you
Yes, sir.
state your name and address, please, sir?
Clint Wiles, 554 Kirby Salmons Road, Alvaton.
Okay, yes, sir. You swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So you heard Mr. Volkert's question regarding the signs. Are you agreeable with that?
Yeah, yeah.
So, Rachel, do you think a good number would be to take it from 120 square feet maybe to 90?
It's hard for me to just pull a number out of the sky. I guess the other option to consider too is it's potentially 2 lots, so there could be 2 signs of that size too. So,
So, Mr. Wiles, what Ms. Hurt just said, are you going to put up, initially, is your concept to put up one sign or two signs?
Honestly, that would be per lot, but initially I would rather put the signs on the face of the building. There would be probably 2 tenants in one building and
So,
2 to 3 tenants. They would just be channel
So-
letters on the face of the building.
so how about that we say that no freestanding sign, and all signs would have to be on the building?
Well, you on your, it's fine with me on my lot, on my side of the lot, so. I'm
So
totally fine with it, 'cause
does
it's
that
not-
get us
we're not
there?
gonna benefit from it
If
at
they
all.
both agree to
So
that, does
you're-
that get us there?
So, are you all co-applicants?
Yes.
So, what Mr. Wiles just said, that, and what Mr. Volker just asked, that there would be no freestanding signs, and they would be on the building only.
The size of those wall signs are what percentage of the?
It's regulated per the ordinance, it would be 10%
10% of the
or
facade.
100 square feet, unless it's a multi-tenant building. We can get into the weeds on that if we need to, but.
The regulations would take care of us there, correct? So, do the two of you want to consult and see if you're both in agreement on that change?
I already said yes.
You in agreement?
Okay. Sorry, I didn't hear him.
Well, and then the other question is about the orientation of the building. Are y'all okay with it facing Scottsville and Alvaton Road only?
Or having a facade that faces Scottsville or Alvaton Road?
Okay, so, but the entry, the main part of the building, the facade will face as it's drawn, correct?
It will appear, yeah, that's the
Appear,
key
yes,
word, that's
yes.
appear.
Okay,
Okay.
And a side, you could have a side entrance.
okay,
Absolutely, yeah.
okay, yes.
Clarification. General Development Plan 3 says all structures shall have a front facade that faces Alvaton Road, Scottsville Road. Is that the way you want it to read? So-
Or shall be designed in such a way to appear to face Scottsville Road and Alvaton Road. And then that way, if the entrance to the building is on another facade, you're still aesthetically getting the look of the front.
We
even
don't
if-
care if they enter and exit through what appears to be the back of the building. As
Right.
long as the facade has that orientation, we're fine.
At the front of
Alvaton Road's on one side.
the Scottsville Road facing would have the appearance of that's the front of the
That's it.
building.
That would appear to be the front of the building, correct.
Mr. Culbertson, I have a question, and maybe directed to you and Mr. Wiles regarding the, it's a piggyback off the first question regarding access point. Am I to assume that initially you're only going to do 2 access points?
Yes.
Okay. If you were to do another access point, where would that occur?
But what probably becomes a factor in that is we also own 9970 Alvaton Road. And kind of the master plan is that those will probably all be joined together, look similar, and that may become a factor as to where that access point would take place.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
You're gonna leave that 3 and not
I'd leave that
limit it to
3.
2?
That's fine, because you can't put another one up there.
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no requirement for a third, is that correct?
No. It says they're proposing a maximum of 3 points, or 3 access points.
Okay. Well, we're going to ask for the audience first and then ask them to come back. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or opposition to this request? Okay, if you two gentlemen would come back up here, and Mr. Moore is going to ask you to agree on the development plan conditions that you've agreed upon.
So, Mr. Wiles and, I'm sorry, I've forgotten your name.
Culbertson.
Culbertson. You all are the owners of this property? Okay. And you agree to the development plan amendments that we've talked about here tonight? Yes, sir. And specifically, you've agreed that there'll be no freestanding signs? Yes, sir. You've agreed that that all new structures on the property will have a front facade that faces Alvaton and Scottsville Road, or shall be constructed to appear as if it did face those roads. What did it leave out? That's right. And then development plan condition number 5 says that no parking shall be allowed in the building setback along Scottsville Road. What you really meant to say is along Alvaton Road. Yes, sir. Do you agree that we can make that change from Scottsville Road to Alvaton Road? Yes. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Before we, any commissioners, any other comments before we call for a motion? Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time tonight. Commissioners, we call for a motion, please.
I make the motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and condition upon the general development plan docket number 2023-04Z County. Based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing, the proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by the compliance with the objectives and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request that this motion include the summary of evidence and testimony presented the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Starks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vitale? Commissioner Volkert?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Gay?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes, ma'am.
And Chair Warren?
Yes, ma'am. The motion is approved, and the recommendation goes to Warren County Fiscal Court for final approval. Our next item tonight is 2023-07 County. Adam and Heather Garrity, applicants, and William, Emily, Timothy, and Karen Garrity, owners, have filed an application to rezone approximately 7.88 acres located at 2172 Mount Olivet Road, and a portion of the property at 2240 Mount Olivet Road from agriculture to rural residential with a general development plan. Amy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting on November the 28th of 2022 for the properties that you mentioned. Again, the applicants are proposing to rezone 7.88 acres at 2172 Mount Olivet Road and a portion of the property at 2240 Mount Olivet Road from agriculture to rural residential. This is in order to reconfigure the existing properties and to create a total of 3 lots. There are 2 existing homes that are proposed to remain. If the application is approved, 1 additional building lot will be created. The remaining portion of the property at 2240 Mount Olivet Road is proposed to remain zone agriculture. And the applicants have provided a site plan in your packet for you to review that shows that. Current zoning is agriculture. Current land use is agriculture, and the future land use is low-density residential. Again, there's the site plans for your reference. On page 5, there is the Focus 2030 compliance review summary for you all to make reference there. And looking back at page 1 to the points to consider, the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. That is all we have for a staff report. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
Amy, on page 3 in the general development plan, page 3, item number 3, Any new home constructed on the property shall have an exterior composed of brick, stone, ephes, cementous siding, LP smart siding or vinyl siding. Exposed plane or split face block is prohibited. We've always, we have discussed this in the past with this new condition, so there is no minimum requirement of what they use on the building materials. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Would that generally be compatible with homes in the surrounding area if it was all vinyl?
Sure. Looking over back at page 2, under the site design and compatibility review, building materials, it looks like 40% of the homes have vinyl exteriors around that area. To kind of give you an idea, at least 40% have
Thank
vinyl
you.
exteriors.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions for this application? Thank you very much. Is the applicant here or their representative that would have any additional comments? I'm sorry? No additional comment. All right. Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or opposition to this request? Hearing none, we call for a motion, please,
Make a
Commissioner.
motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and conditioned upon a general development plan docket number 2023-7Z County based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing. The proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objective and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further request this motion include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Second.
Commissioner Gay,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Starks,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Vitale, Commissioner Volker. Yes, ma'am. Chair Warren.
Yes, ma'am. The motion is approved, and the recommendation goes to Warren County Fiscal Court. Our next item tonight is 2023-08Z County, Blevins and Blevins LLC, care of Chris and Merritt Blevins, have filed an application to rezone portions of a tract of land containing approximately 3.49 acres located at 3731, 3789 Gotts Hydro Road from Ag to RE Residential State with the General Development Plan. Ms. Hurt?
Thank you, Chair Warren. We had a pre-application meeting back in January for the properties you just referenced on Gotts Hydro Road. And the current zoning is agriculture. The current use is also agriculture. And the future land use designation is agriculture. And so the applicants have filed an application to rezone portions of the properties from Ag to RE in order to create 2 smaller building lots. Those are the proposed lots shown by the blue outline. And then the remaining portion of the tracts, which would be these larger areas here, if this were to move forward, would be added to the adjacent tract to the south. I did forget to mention, with the future land use map being agriculture, a future land use map amendment was not required because the development will result in the enlargement of the adjacent agricultural tract and the number of lots is not proposed to increase. We have listed a compliance summary on page 5 for your reference. Those are the comprehensive plan items that we reviewed. And then our points to consider at the bottom of page 1, we have noted that a majority of the area proposed to be rezoned is classified as farmland of statewide importance. Second, the staff suggested that the applicants consider including a requirement for an increased front building setback. However, the applicants did not agree to this. And for reference, the nearest home to the east is 70 feet, roughly, from the front property line. The third item is that the applicants did not address the known sinkholes or existing wetland that are located on the site. Below that, the applicants did not agree to preserve any of the existing mature trees. Next, the proposed home size is 1,300 square feet, and this is 445 square feet below the median that is identified for the area. And then last, the applicants have not limited the amount of vinyl that can be utilized and are proposing to allow split face block as a permitted foundation material. We have referenced page 3, just looking at the building materials review. Staff has noted that roughly 50% of homes in the area have vinyl exteriors, and the remainder are a mix of aluminum siding, brick, and stone. 2/3 have a stone or brick foundation. And the staff suggested that the applicants may want to consider amending their conditions based on the characteristics that are listed in the building materials review, but this was left unaddressed by the applicants. I believe that is all I have for the staff report, but I'll be happy to answer questions.
Thank you, Rachel, for summarizing that for us. Commissioners, any questions before we call the applicant? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here or the representative to, yes, sir, if you would come to the microphone, please. If you would state your name and address, please, sir.
Barrett Blevins, 8864 Smiths Grove, Scottsville Road.
You swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Blevins regarding the points to consider?
So, Mr. Blevins, I assume you heard the staff report. There are a few things here that are left unaddressed. I'll kind of go down the list. Is there any reason you don't want to increase the setback on the property to match, say, the adjoining property owners? The front setback?
Front setback to
Yeah.
match the lots that we have beside it?
Yes.
They were 75 feet from the road.
70 feet. 70.
Excuse me, 70 feet. Wait a minute, just a minute, is he your?
He's our surveyor.
Okay.
Okay, would you bring him up here so we can, this is recorded so we can hear?
We just need to get both answers on the record.
Yeah. Yes, sir, your surveyor, your name, sir?
My name's Clay Davidson with Davidson Land Surveying. Davidson Land Surveying.
Yes,
Clay
sir.
Davidson.
What's your address, Mr. Davidson?
394 Salem Church Road, Bee Spring, Kentucky.
You swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Are we okay going to a 70-foot
So are we okay with
setback?
the?
Are we okay with going to a 70-foot minimum setback?
It's the proposed houses that they're.
Okay.
Would work. I rarely encounter someone who actually doesn't want to preserve mature trees on a piece of property unless it is in the building envelope. Is it your intent just to take everything down, or is it your intent to preserve some of the trees on the property?
Preserve every mature tree that's there.
Okay. And so you would make every effort to preserve the mature trees then, correct? And,
The aerial doesn't look like there are very many mature trees on it.
pardon me?
Doesn't look like there's hardly any trees on it.
I think most of them are in the sinkhole.
Yeah.
You can see
Oh,
on
in
the
the
aerial,
sinkhole.
they're
Got it,
at the
got it.
southern
So-
boundary. So they should be outside of the building envelope.
Okay, very good.
So that goes with the other question. Are you good with addressing the sinkholes and the wetlands on the property and fixing them? Okay.
And so the next one is the minimum square footage. What is your intent for the size of home you're planning to build there?
Be 1,300 to 1,400 square feet of living space, and both houses will have two-car attached garages.
Would you willing to cut it in half and go to a 1,500 square foot?
Would
Get
put you
closer?
somewhere between.
Yeah, somewhere between the other houses that are out there.
I would rather not, just because of the houses that we're building beside it are going to be similar in square footage
When you say
on both sides of it.
when you say the houses you're going to be building beside it, I'm going to address this to staff and then I'll come back to you. Help me understand that.
So if you look at the site plan here, the two proposed lots in blue, on either side, there are existing 1 acre lots, or roughly 1 acre lots.
Right.
And they've already pulled permits for homes on those two lots.
What size homes are they?
And so those didn't require a zone change,
Right. They were already existing, zoned, ready to go.
and there was no minimum square footage compliance there?
Right, because they were created and then converted in 2014 through the zoning conversion. So there was never a development plan condition or binding element that restricted materials or home size.
Okay.
How large are those homes?
It'll be 1,300 to 1,400 square feet.
And are they gonna be vinyl? All vinyl? Would you be willing to get rid of the split face block and go to a brick?
Brick veneer?
Would rather not, just because the adjoining properties that we're gonna be building on there are gonna be split face as well.
So I can only speak for me. While I do understand that you're trying to build a more affordable product there, given the surrounding area, I would want to see at least a brick veneer on the foundations. I could probably be persuaded on the square footage, but you're talking about doing 4 houses in a row, a minimum of 1,300 square feet, all vinyl and split face block that doesn't match the neighborhood. So I would not be able to support it without that.
So I'll go back to the question, will you be okay with a brick veneer foundation around the house?
What we're trying to provide is an affordable house. And everything that we do as far as a brick veneer or anything just adds on to the home buyer. I mean, we can build on the tracks that the way they are now, and they can be split face vinyl houses.
But those were grandfathered in, and I think
Yes.
what the commissioners are asking you is not that your product isn't good, but a little more of a upgrade.
Help us here.
Yeah, it would add some variety there.
I'm trying to say it in the best way for you to get this passed.
Your partner in this is your father.
That's right. Yes, my father's out of town.
Is he out of town tonight?
Yes, sir.
One of your options is to withdraw this application, confer with your partner, and make a decision about these issues that are being discussed with you. And then you can bring it back either with or without those changes.
We'll do then.
That's fair enough, yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our next item is 2023-09-ZBG Platinum Development, LLC, care of Austin D. Coleman, has filed an application to rezone a portion of a tract of land containing approximately 8.92 acres located at 0 Russellville Road from agriculture to general business with a general development plan. And Commissioners, at your table, a amendment to the development plans was at your table. So, Amy?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So, as you said, there was new DPCs were submitted after staff reports were sent out. So we have highlighted the new addition there at the very end that was added to those, and those are there for you to review. We had a pre-application meeting on November the 29th of 2022. Current zoning is agriculture. Current land use is agriculture. Future land use is mixed-use residential. And the applicants have provided a couple of site plans and exhibits for you to review. Again, the applicants are proposing to rezone 0.92 acres located on a portion of the property at 0 Russellville Road from agriculture to general business in order to divide the property into multiple commercial lots for the purpose of mixed commercial uses. Looking over at page 5, this did fall within the Walnut Valley Focal Point Plan. There at the very end of that section, staff evaluated 8 items, and they were all found to be in compliance with that plan. There were no policies that were not in compliance there. Looking over at page 8, there again is the Focus 2030 compliance summary review for the items that were reviewed to be in compliance. Looking back at page 1 to the points to consider, the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. And the majority of the property is designated as prime farmland. But that is all we have for a staff report. We'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Amy. Commissioners, any questions for staff and/or the amendments that were on your desk tonight? All right, thank you. Is the applicant here or their representative would like to make a comment regarding this?
We're here, we don't have anything to add.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a question or opposition to this request? All right, hearing none, commissioners would call for a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with condition upon a general development plan, docket number 2023-9ZBG, based upon the testimony and documents presented in a public hearing. The proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance and objective and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further request this motion include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Commissioner Gay.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Graham.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Shaw.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Starks.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Vitale. Commissioner Volker.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair Warren.
Yes, ma'am. The motion is approved and will go to the Bowling Green City Commission for final approval. Our next item tonight is 2023 T10Z County Big Dog Investments LLC, care of Don Spear, has filed an application to rezone a portion of a tract of land containing approximately 2.97 acres located at 0 Richardsville Bypass from Ag to RE residential estate with a general development plan. Amy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-application meeting on January the 9th of this year for the property that you mentioned. It is currently zoned agriculture. Its current land use is vacant. The future land use is rural village. And again, the applicant is proposing to rezone 2.97 acres located on the Richardsville bypass from Ag to RE. And this is in order to create 2 building lots. And the applicants did provide site plans for your reference in your packets. Page number 5 has that Focus 20 compliance summary again for you to glance at. And back to page 1, the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. So that is all we have for this, but we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Amy. Commissioners, any questions for this request? All right. Is the applicant here or the representative? Any comments you'd like to make? All right. Thank you all. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has a questions or opposition to this request? Again, if you would call or make a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and condition upon a general development plan, docket number 2023-10Z County. Based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing, the proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objective and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the zoning map amendment is in agreement with the comprehensive plan. Further requests motion include a summary of testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Commissioner Gay.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Graham.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Shaw.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Starks.
Yes.
Commissioner Vitale. Commissioner Volker.
Yes, ma'am.
Chair Warren.
Yes, ma'am. The motion is approved and final recommendation go to Warren County Fiscal Court. Our next item tonight is 2023-11 Z County. Joshua, Ashley, and Karen Baker have filed an application to rezone portions of tracts of land containing approximately 2.6 acres located 7801 and 7825 Plano Road from Ag to RE residential state with a general development plan. Ms. Hurd.
Thank you, Chair Warren. We had a pre-application meeting last year back in August for the properties you just referenced at 7801 and 7825 Plano Road. There are 2 existing homes on the property, and the applicants would like to rezone portions of both of the existing tracts from Ag to RE in order to subdivide the existing homes onto smaller lots and also adjust the current lot line that segments the existing garage on Lot 2. And the remaining portions of the properties would be added to an adjacent parcel. The current zoning, as I mentioned, is ag. The current use is agriculture and single family. The future land use map is agriculture, and an amendment was not required to the future land use map because the result will be the enlargement of an existing agricultural tract and the number of lots will remain the same. We have listed a compliance summary on page 5 for your reference. That includes all of the items that we reviewed from the comprehensive plan. And then we have a couple of points to consider on page 1. The first is that the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. Staff did note a few considerations in the event that either of the homes are ever replaced. And these considerations relate to the proposed minimum home size, lack of a garage requirement, and an introduction of board and batten metal siding as a permitted exterior material. And we have highlighted these items on page 2 in the architectural features and building materials review. The existing homes have 2-car garages, and just under 50% of the homes in the area have a 2-car garage that's attached. And then all but 3 of the remaining homes have a garage or carport. And the applicants have not imposed a requirement for a garage or carport, again, only if either of the homes are replaced. And then below that, we have mentioned that the proposed minimum home size by the applicants is 1,200 square feet, which is 484 square feet less than the median identified in the area. The applicants communicated with staff their desire to downsize if either of the homes ever have to be replaced. And then looking at the building materials review, the proposed materials are generally complementary to the existing materials that are prevalent in the area, and the applicants have also expressed a desire to staff to utilize board and batten metal siding as an exterior material, again, if either of the homes are ever replaced. That is all I have for the staff report, but I'm happy to answer questions.
Rachel, do I understand that they're going to take part of the lots in the front and add them to the adjacent?
So it'd be the back portions of these 2 lots. So there's 2 homes now,
Okay.
and they're just existing on larger lots. So they want to chop off the back part and retain a smaller amount of land with the homes, and then the back would be added to this tract to the north.
Okay, all right.
And Rachel, did you say that the applicant does have an interest in using metal board and batten siding?
Yes, if the homes are ever replaced. Right now, it would be if there was a fire or some sort of natural disaster. The homes are in fine condition now. There's no plan to tear down either of the homes next week. It's just that the applicant realized that in rezoning that they would have to supply some list of conditions if in the future either of the homes were replaced.
So help me understand, what do the general development plan conditions actually apply to then? If both,
They would apply to both of the proposed lots.
but not the existing
Not the existing
structures?
homes. It would only be if the properties were redeveloped that these conditions would apply as far as materials or home size or garage requirements.
Got it, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
It says that if either of, 1,200 square feet is what the existing residents are.
No, the existing homes are, let's see,
Oh, must have no less than
1,880 square feet and 1,927 square feet.
Okay, what are the homes in the area? You know, the average size?
Yes, they are between 1,022 square feet and 2,204 square feet. and the median home size in the area is 1,684 square feet.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Starks. Commissioners, any other questions for Ms. Hurt? All right, thank you,
Thank you.
Rachel. Is the applicant here or the representative? Any comments you would like to make, sir? No, sir. Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that has questions or oppositions to this request? All right, hearing none, Commissioners would call for a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and condition upon a general development plan, docket number 2023-11Z County. Based upon the documents presented in this public hearing, the proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance and rejection and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the zoning map amendment is in agreement with the comprehensive plan. Further request this motion include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Commissioner Gay,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Shaw,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Starks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vitale,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Volkert,
Yes.
and Chair Warren.
Yes, ma'am. The motion is approved and will go to Warren County Fiscal Court for final approval. Our next and last item tonight is 2023 12Z County. Wesley and Farrah Lambert have filed an application to rezone a tract of land containing approximately 5.3 acres located at 209 Massey Road from Ag to RR Rural Residential with a general development plan. Jenny?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We had a pre-app on January 20th of this year for the properties highlighted in yellow. To reiterate the request, the applicants are proposing to rezone 5.32 acres of the property located at 209 Massey Road from Ag to Rural Residential in order to create an additional building lot. The current zoning of the property is Ag, the current land use is Ag, and the future land use designation for the property is Rural Density Residential. There is a compliance summary for the comprehensive plan on page 5 of your all's packets. And then looking down to the points to consider, the proposal complies with the majority of the criteria assessed in the review process and is generally compatible with the surrounding area. And staff has noted a few considerations regarding proposed building and foundation materials, which are noted on the bottom of page 2. And so looking to the building materials review on the bottom of page 2, roughly 50% of the homes in the area have a brick exterior. The remaining homes are a mix of stone, vinyl, and wood. The applicants agreed in DPC number 2 that any new home constructed on the property shall have an exterior comprised of brick, stone, EIFS, cementitious siding, engineered wood siding, or vinyl siding. Any new exposed foundations shall use either split face block, brick, or stone. The proposed materials may be compatible. However, the applicants have not proposed to limit the amount of vinyl that can be utilized. And the applicants are also proposing to allow split face block as a permitted foundation material when the prevalent foundation material identified in the area is brick. That is all that staff have, but I'm happy to answer any of your all's questions.
Thank you, Jenny. Commissioners, any questions for the points to consider or for Jenny? Thank you very much. Is the applicant here or the representative? Yes, sir. Do you have any additional comments you'd like to make, or commissioners? Maybe. Would you come to the microphone, please, sir? And would you state your name and address, please, sir?
Wesley Lambert, 209 Massey Road, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
Mr. Lambert, you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you very much. I think some commissioners have some questions.
Mr. Lambert, would you be okay going with the foundation with a brick skirt?
I don't want to limit anybody to what they can build, but I mean, if that's what I got to do.
Probably help.
Yep, that'd be fine.
Brick or stone? Brick or stone. Yeah, brick or stone. Just no split face. Yes.
Brick or stone veneer. I'm sorry, brick or stone veneer.
I have a question. Any new, on page 3, you don't have this in front of you, but any new home constructed on property have an exterior composed of brick, stone, EIFS, siding, or vinyl siding, What percentage do you plan on using of vinyl and what percentage of modern materials?
Be like 75% vinyl. Most of the homes have like an accent wall of stone or a cherry rail of stone or brick or something of that nature.
Okay, so on the front of the house, would you agree to a stone or modern material on the front of the house?
Roughly 20.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not going to be, I'm not building one.
Door in their garage.
Yeah.
What is the 25%? Is that brick or stone?
Modern mason materials, brick or stone.
So, Mr. Lambert, your development plan condition number 2, am I correct that you agree that any new exposed foundation shall be constructed of either brick or stone veneer?
Yes.
And that the front facade of any new structure will be at least 25% brick, stone, or cementitious siding.
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Lemmer. Commissioners, any other comments or questions? All right. Is there anyone in the audience that has a question tonight or opposition to this request? I'm sorry, what?
Not this one. There must have been already passed by, and I just didn't see it or something. I have something to say about something else. Not this one.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. So Commissioners, you've heard the report and the amendments. Call for a motion, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the proposed zoning map amendment together with and condition upon the general development plan, docket number 2023-12, Z County, based upon the testimony and documents presented in this public hearing. The proposed zoning map amendment is consistent with the adopted Focus 2030 comprehensive plan as demonstrated by its compliance with the objective and action items presented in the staff report. Therefore, the proposed zoning map amendment is in agreement with the adopted comprehensive plan. Further, I request that this motion include the summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witness at this public hearing.
Second.
Parks?
Yes.
Commissioner Vitale? Commissioner Volker?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Gay?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Shaw?
Yes, ma'am.
And Chair Warren?
Yes, ma'am. The motion is approved and goes to Warren County Fiscal Court for final approval. Thank you all. Yes, sir, you have a comment. Sir, do you have a comment tonight in the back? Oh, okay. Yes, sir. Would you take your mask off? It's being recorded, not so we can hear you.
Do you have to? Can you hear me now? Can
Okay.
you hear me plainly with the mask on?
All right. Well, yes, sir.
Okay.
Your name and address, please, sir.
My name is Brian Fishback, 396 Duluth Drive, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
All right. You swear to tell the truth?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Your question tonight, sir?
Yeah, I have a question. I saw a sign, development plan amendment on the 100 block of State Street. There's a pending lawsuit in the United States Supreme Court right now. The construction projects, the local Bowling Green, Warren County governments are currently in violation of and are trespassing. That includes this development plan amendment for the 100 block of State Street. This pending lawsuit was filed in the United States Supreme Court over a year and a half ago by me. However, the construction, yes. By me, yes, sir, okay. However, these construction projects have continued to take place illegally and are construction projects that should be discontinued according to the law. These illegal construction projects include construction work in the Kentucky Trans Park that includes a planned Tyson Food Factory and a Veterans Rehabilitation Center, and also illegal construction that has been taking place in what is called the TIF District. That includes planned apartments from Sky Property Management on the corner of 7th Street and Chestnut Street, and a drinking bar named the Gasper Brewing Company and concerned to White Squirrel Brewery, and also a building called the Southern Queen that's in the TIF District in the 100 block of State Street. An illegal activity is also taking place involving the apartment construction on Omby Way that's operated by BR Construction. Illegal construction work is also taking place in what is called the Sugar Maple Square Shopping Center by plans to be possessed by the Warren County Fiscal Court. I've sent over a dozen cease and desist letters concerning this pending lawsuit to companies involved. However, the illegal construction work has continued to take place during the last year or so. So it seems that I've been sending these cease and desist letters or orders to the wrong places. So if someone knows where to send the cease and desist letters to stop the illegal construction work that has been taking place concerning this lawsuit, you can let me know, because sending these cease and desist letters to the local Warren County government members seems to not be the correct places to send these the cease and desist letters.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fishback. We will take your comments under consideration, and we don't really have an answer for you tonight regarding where to send those to. And
The county attorney and the Bowling Green city attorney and the zoning and planning commission all have my email.
okay, so we are the Planning and Zoning Commission, so if we have a copy of that, then we will take that under consideration, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything else tonight from the audience? And we appreciate you being here tonight, everyone. Staff, thank you for the more fluid reports, commissioners.
Yeah, that's what I was going to mention. If you have any feedback for us, either now or afterwards, please let us know.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Christian?
I thought it was excellent.
Yes.
I thought it went smoothly.
Yes, it went very good, and
I mean, obviously, when we have things that come up that there's going to be a lot of disagreement with, we'll have to dive a little more into those staff reports. But a lot of these tonight were, I mean, yes, absolutely.
And even for the guy that withdrew, I wasn't trying to be direct with him. I just wanted him to know that I was trying to give him an opportunity, and I'm not sure he had the.
I think he was.
I think he had the authority.
I think he got the.
well, I think Mr. Moore did a good job of saying,
Yeah.
you know, if your partner's not here.
I'm afraid he thought I was challenging him, and I really wasn't. I was trying to help him.
Yeah. And I think
I think it was okay at the end.
Yeah, I think one thing, Ben and Rachel, that two things that came up tonight is that we have dealt with in the past is the percentage of building materials. But I think we were able to dive in, as Christian said, into the report where they were not willing to commit to a certain percentage, and
That becomes the discussion.
that becomes
It
discussion.
doesn't mean we're going to get 100% of it, but
Yeah.
it helps us set the stage and not have to ask, which will come as great relief to you. I don't have to ask as many questions.
And hopefully, as the attorneys come and go, they're going to see how we're doing this, and they're going to see that if we have a list full of concerns, it's a problem.
You had some good applications tonight, though.
I think the way that Ben sent that report out to the attorneys, which are a handful.
Rachel, but thank you.
Or Rachel, thank you, that present this, that hopefully we're not negotiating on the floor, but that they bring a more comprehensive proposal. Yes, thank you, Greg. That's a good comment, that they bring that to us so that we're not negotiating back and forth. So, but that was well written, Rachel, for the attorneys that do that. So, all right, commissioners, do we have any other new business, Mr. Peterson?
Oh, I
Is
was,
that meeting on Monday? Is that one that you're having?
yes, the MPO does have a meeting on Smile House Road. It's at Holy Spirit Catholic Church at 5:30. And I don't know, it's on the left side of the building. I can't remember the name of the room. So what this is a preliminary meeting where some improvements and some specific treatments are going to be proposed to individual intersections, as well as the two main segments of Small House Road, just to get ideas for potential improvements. Ideally, when that study concludes in May, we'll know what improvements to ask for from from the funding agencies to hopefully construct that. And hopefully very soon after we get Cave Mill Road reconstructed, they kind of go hand in hand as it is. One unique thing is, you know, cooperating among agencies is one of the goals, of course, the Planning Commission, but also the MPO, and this would be a city, county, state partnership in its truest sense. So it wouldn't be a jurisdiction-specific application. So that's a good thing. So the only other thing I have is we'll be providing recommendations, kind of be that next part of the change in the staff reports, and that'll be on March 16th. Just want to state that in case anybody's listening. And I agree that was my instant observation tonight, was the people who had their stuff together and turned it in on time, and it was a complete application and addressed everything that they needed to address, went a lot smoother than the other ones did. So I thank you all for that.
And that's the intent.
Yep. Thank you all for that.
Well, thank you all very much, staff. Thank you for all you all do. Mr. Moore, thank you for being here tonight, and we stand adjourned.